Well, we're starting another day. And yes, our little friend is still here. It's been weeks. I should name him. I'm shocked one of the birds hasn't eaten him yet. I mean, they fly past here all the time, and they just buzz right past him. But we've got more layers in. Everything's set up. Already did a little grinding to knock off some of the rogue fibers. Basically, when you mix that stuff in, you get some stuff that sticks up and such. You just grind them off. You're never going to get it to be perfect when you're doing that. Went ahead and chopped up a bunch of chop strand mat pieces. I'm going to try to get 2 layers on everything. That way it covers up all the holes. And then I can do some nice finishing work over top of that. But it's only about 70 today. This is unbelievably cold. I mean, we've had our heat on when we should be like running our air conditioner in times. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'll probably just let them sit for the next few hours. And I'm going to go play with some stringers. Okay, we got ourselves a couple layers of chop strand on anything that was a hole. Like, you know, the holes kind of came through. We made sure we got chop strand over top of everything. That way we have glass between the hole so it doesn't crack out. If you do not put glass on top of it, you're going to get a crack out of the pole or the screw or whatever was there. It's going to crack back out. The glass actually spans the two together, so to speak. And being that we're about, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch thick of fiberglass there, this transom is really turning into a solid beast. I'm almost going to be all sad about cutting it. And went ahead on the inside here and also put another layer all the way around of chop strand, just so, you know, I really wanted the bottom to be done again before I actually start screwing with stringers, because once you get stringers in, it's pretty much a done deal. You're not going to get to that angle anymore. And speaking of stringers, we have this guy here. This one's missing entirely, so that's pretty much an easy fix. But this one here, I'm thinking I'm going to have to cut half of it off where it makes connection up here to this piece. Just take that section right off of this one and then put my new board in and then go ahead and fiberglass that up. The problem with that is it's more fiberglass cutting and more dust. I'm really getting tired of the dust. I mean, I get there's a, you know, a level of dust with anything you do with a boat and fiberglass, but filling in this transom is created in, well, the real dust came from cutting all the stuff out. But I really would like to cut down on some of the dust. What do you think, Mr. B? Yeah, he thinks so too. Well, the first stringer is in. Get it? Stringer. Using this string basically to find out where the stringers are supposed to end up. Just a little short of this. That one over there just comes underneath of it by about 1/4 inch. I guess that allows for the glue to adhere the deck down to it. Either way, we're going to keep them all uniform. That way, wherever they land, they should land uniform. We've gone ahead and played carpenter most of the day. You can already see we've got one scarfed in over here. That's just a little one, so we went ahead and did that one and just glued it in for the night. We've got our little pieces down here, which will actually fit in like so. And it's not that we're going to butcher up and just piece up these things. I went ahead down here and I've got some laminated beams I've made out of some plywood, a couple layers of plywood. I'm actually going to double these up. I know you can't see crap underneath all them blocks, but that's the reason why they're going to sit nice and flat all night long. I'm going to go ahead and double these. Well, bring it up to about 1 inch thick, a little bit over 1 inch, 1/16 maybe, of stringer wood along here, because I know somewhere in this area there's going to be a motor mount. and I'd like to have a nice beefy set of stringers. I always tend to like double up those areas anyway. It may be an L bracket that holds that motor, so I don't want to be able to twist over, so I want some double wood in there to make sure it all stays, and I'll be doubling up the fiberglass as we go. And we got that one cut also, all shaped up and ready to go. Like I said, I followed the shapes of actually these, so it's not going to just be a straight up and down 90-degree stress point. And it shouldn't really be that bad anyway, up that far up there. I mean, the motor mounts are going to be, like I said, they're going to be back here. And I am surprised. They actually took a nice big half moon out of these, and they just sat out in the weather for years. Never a bit of fiberglass, and there was just a tiny bit of water that leaked down underneath of them. But the wood itself is 100%. Even the wood that I took off was damp, but it was not rotten, and it wasn't going to rot anytime soon. I could see that plain as day. So we're just kind of doubling up and tripling up. This boat's going to be good for another 100 years, that's for sure. But the sun has already gone down. Again, this camera is doing wonders in the dark. It's amazing. We also did some grinding to the transom. Actually, the camera is showing it better than I can actually see it right now, but we took off the bulk. As I said, we got some major filling to do now, but its majority of that is glass, and I mean 100% glass. And even a little bit of filler that I used to fill in the edges before I did the next set of glass here today was all full of, you know, fibers out of the bucket over there. So tomorrow we're just going to go ahead and pull our newly laminated beams out from underneath of that. They should be nice and flat and solid. We're going to go ahead and glue them in. I don't like setting wood right on top of the fiberglass. It tends to make a hard spot. And with a Beesmeyer, that was a real issue because the Beesy's so thin and soft that you could make a hard spot in that thing in no time. This one, it's just habit for me to do it that way because in this boat, the stringers, like I said, they just hold up the deck. And you could take everything out of this boat and just turn it into a giant bathtub and it would be fine. It wouldn't need any structure from wood at all to actually keep its shape and form. So as I said, quick cleanup here. Basically, it's going to be sunshine for the next few days. So luckily, we don't have to worry about rain or anything. We can leave some things out that are not necessary to put away. And we're going to attack it again tomorrow. Tomorrow will be at least install of the wood and maybe some other things. At least some tabbing. We're going to do some tabbing. Got to do some tabbing. Okay, starting another day. Got our stringers out from underneath of our blocks over there. We're going to go ahead and round off some of these corners and such. Glass don't like going around a 90-degree turn. It'll go in a crotch of one, but it does not like bending over top, and it'll leave air gaps if you do not round your corners. Got some where they're going to meet up. We're going to do a little more rounding there, and of course where bilge water passes through, we got to round that too because all of it has to be sealed up. Nothing will be exposed. No entry of water at all. But I've got a couple more stringers here left to do, and then it'll be time to set them in the boat. And just like that, our stringers are set. I don't really want to fool them right now. I did tack these in. That shows how solid this wood is down here. I mean, I drove a nail in it. It was harder than driving in a regular 2x4. So that's some solid wood, and I used galvanized nails, of course, so that's no problem there. And I only did 2 of them. I wanted to make sure it sat up the way it's supposed to, because this was my whole fear, is to get it cocked or something weird. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to leave all this in, because it's just so weird. I mean, I had it actually placed up against it and it still looked weird. And then I drove a nail in it and it sucked it right up underneath, right, just perfect. And it made it line perfectly up. So once again, I'll take a cheat any day. And it doesn't have to be rocket science. You know, I mean, we can just follow what they did, and what they did was good enough until somebody took a chainsaw to it. It's been good enough in my 19 over there. Right, Mr. B? Yeah, he's still here. So why don't we let that set up? We're going to go ahead and we're going to see if we can level out some of this. And it's solid, as I said. It's very deep, but there is about, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch or so we got to get leveled out. Not only that, but we got to be concerned about the actual curvature of this itself. It actually curves from here in that way. I always figured this was the flat area. I mean, the whole transom curves from this point, it comes out and then it curves back in. We get that. That's kind of the old style. But I always thought that this here was actually the flat spot so they could use out drives and such like that off of it. Apparently not. It does have a bit of a curve to it all by itself. Because if I go from this point here over to this point, I'll be about, I don't know, 1/4 inch off. So there is a curvature back here somewhere. But with a little bit of resin, a little bit of fiber, and some cabosil, this should be a done deal. And it'll give me time for those stringers to set up a little bit. And that way I can tab them in shortly. While we're waiting for some of the tabbing of the stringers to set up a little bit, didn't do a whole lot. I mean, I just wanted them to lock them in place. That's the real thing, and let them set up and get a little harder, and that way then I can start slinging some fiberglass at them. But at the moment I just want them to stay where they're supposed to stay. In the meantime, we went ahead and did another fill on the back here. Little tiny bit of cabosil, resin, and a lot of fiber. As you can see, there's fiber sticking out everywhere, and that's the way this stuff works. I am at my final layer, I guess you would call it, with this combination, because now I need to get a little finer, and I am almost out of cabosil, and it takes a lot to thicken up resin, so I may have to hold off on this one for a day or two until the new arrives, which should be here today, maybe tomorrow. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to go look it up. There's so many things to do and not do and waiting on. It's just getting confusing at this point. I'm just trying to get everything I can out of the garage, and that means at the moment a crap load of fiberglass. As for these guys, yeah, as for these guys, everything's working great, except for when I made a slight mistake of not mixing in a hardener with a quart of resin. Needless to say, it was a lot of double work. It was my second to last cup. I thought it was going to be my last one, and I was going to call it quits, because it's already about, what, 8:15, 8:30? And no, I had to take this one apart, that one apart, pull a chop strand too, take that off all in one piece. Yeah, that didn't work so well either. Take that off, recoat everything, recoat the fiberglass, recoat it from the outside. We're going to see what happens. I'm sure it'll be fine. But if tomorrow morning it's a problem, I will pull out the grinder and yank it all off. No reason to screw it up now just because of that. But I did make a good attempt, but it's a bit of an embarrassment today. So with that embarrassment and the timing and everything else, I'm done. I will pick this up again tomorrow. Why are we starting off another day looking at this big ball of fur? Well, That was what I put on the stringer yesterday, and it was a total failure. So I had to start my day off by grinding it all off. And there's nothing like slinging around a bunch of tacky fibers. Yeah, that was fun. Needless to say, I got a little bit more cleaning up to do, and then I got some repairs to do, basically, because I'm going to recoat everything all over again and start fresh, basically, and see if I can get these stringers done today. Right, Mr. B? Yeah, I'm a little sick of this mess myself. Well, here we are. We're actually putting glass on. I got 1708 on that one, and this guy over here getting ready to do this one, which would be the third one. I only have a small patch to do here with the 1708. And then I'll probably put another layer, a cap layer on top of the chop strand, just to beef up the cap a little bit, make it a little fatter so it's easier to attach the deck to. And then I got a lot of tabbing to do, around, corner, 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 corner. I'm actually running the 1708, I'm actually running it from this inside corner to that point there, over and down and onto the hull. And then like I said, I'll take chop strand and I'll fold this up and over and fold her, you know, because it's a little more forgiving than the 1708. It's so hard to deal with when you come to corners. And so, I mean, lazy corners are great, but you're never going to get nothing in like this. Nothing in a lifetime. So I just much rather just take 3 or 4 layers of chop strand and run over these guys and just finish this box in. And as I said, I still got this one left to do. I'm just kind of letting one kick off. I found that if I do one and then I try to do another one right away, I end up stepping on my own work, and this is really kind of pissing me off. So I've decided that, yeah, I need to take, it's nice bright sunshine out here. It's about 75, 78 degrees, so I mean, it's working well today. I just need to take the extra 15 minutes and let it kick off so I'm not pulling, because I did over here, I actually had to grind it out and put another piece in right there, because I stepped on it and twisted it, and it just twisted right out. And I was like, jeez, that's not a good thing. Now, as for the transom, I was thinking about actually cutting out the transom shield hole, but it then dawned on me, I better not. Right now, I'm kind of using this area as one of the only flat areas originally on the boat. I mean, you got this one, you got one over here, you got a small spot here, and it's kind of the same on the other side. So I'm going to actually use these areas to flatten out the other areas before I go taking a big hole in there, and then I'm just kind of like working off of this side and working off of that side. Just make it easier. There's no rushing it anyway. I mean, there is going to be a little bit of fiberglassing once the hole's cut out, but I mean, that's something I can do later. It's easy work. I mean, it's not like there's no more fiberglassing to do on this boat after this. Spent an hour last night fixing the camera because I had so many malfunctions yesterday. Good clean out, helped it out quite a bit. But then I didn't even use it much today at all. Here we are. Our stringers are pretty much in. Everything's been glassed in. I went ahead and did my tabs all over again. The only thing left tomorrow is I'm going to re-tab the transom. Just so. And I was putting too many layers on. I was pushing off what I was putting on, so I didn't want to get too hard on it. And not only that, but, you know, we'll give a little sanding off of the bad spots and touch up whatever we need to do tomorrow. But right now it's about 8:30, and as I said before, this camera is doing wonders. If I could see like this, I'd just go right on through the night, but I cannot, so we have to call it a night. Pick it up again tomorrow. So we're looking at the remnants of a 5-gallon pail of resin. I had another one in stock. That's 6 gallons. We even got in a little bit of this one too yesterday, maybe a quart or so. Gonna get this one out to the recycling bin for tonight, because tonight's trash night. Working on this, it should be a pretty easy day. That's what I've said before, and it didn't turn out that way, but I'm thinking this time around when we actually get a chance at that happening. Cabosil out for delivery as we speak. Should be here within the next couple hours. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to knock this down real quick with my disc grinder, get it ready, and then I'm going to come in here and, I don't know, clean up some areas. You know, I got to clean out some of the fibers and such around my drains there. The reason I left the drains so big is because there's an open area underneath the bow, and if say leaves or what have you get in the bow and on a breezy day like today and picks them up, it'll throw them up underneath the bow, in which case it'll end up in that opening and they'll come down these cavities. And just a little 1-inch drain hole right over here, you're going to end up with leaves. We're going to make sure that there is never an issue with material getting stuck in the drains. Speaking of that, there seems to be like this mineral spring or something that's in this boat, because I've been emptying water out, a couple, 3 or 4 sponges every day, and yet it hasn't rained in well over a week. So I'm thinking that there's some foam up in the front of this thing and it's saturated, and that's a scary thought. But for today, we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to go ahead, like I said, I'm going to clean up my areas and we're going to slap some new glass on, and we're going to pretty much call this a day. Well, the shipment has arrived. Bags of white powder for the 1970s boat from Miami, Florida. Why do I get the impression this is not the first time a big bag full of white powder has been around one of these boats? Just saying. And even though I think it's already been done before, we're actually going to install some of this white powder in this boat. So I think a drug cartel did that one time and actually built a car out of, was that a Cheech and Chong movie? Whatever. Moving on. After such a long video, this seems like a good enough place to end it. We've gone ahead and got our Cabosil wax and resin mix in for a second thin layer. That's about as good as I'm going to get with that, and a piece of carpet flat metal. We'll work again on that tomorrow. Also, we're going to probably start the cutout tomorrow. We've gone ahead and got all our tabbing, everything I'm going to do to these stringers is pretty much done. Except for when we do take the deck out, which is coming up shortly, we're gonna, I don't know, we'll inspect these areas where they actually go up underneath the deck. It may need a little sanding and a couple tiny pieces put over it just to kind of finish them off. Can't really tell because the deck's in the way, quote unquote. You could slip the glass underneath of it, or the mat underneath of it, but you know, who knows whether it actually made good contact or not. But with that, we're pretty much on a trajectory to move on to another project. Because I know some player in, and but got a few more. Damn, I think I've already done this once today. I thought I turned the camera on, but I didn't. I think it's on now. To the backup camera. Wait a second, let's do something first. Everything's white. Alright, that's better. Oh, what happened to color balance there, but it just went crazy. Looked like I was in heaven or something with all the white lights. I hope this is a good microphone. But it worked. Going solo and blind. We've got our final plan. Shit. I'm all screwed up here. And a hot activator too. It was a hot one. I don't know, Mr. B. Alright, let's start this. Alright, back to this. And that's where we'll close out and move on to the next video.